In the month of February, I was able to take out right around $70,000 in payouts from various prop firms. In this video, I'm going to be going over those payouts and show you exactly what I did in order to achieve this success. This brings my total payout number to a little bit under $200,000 just in the past couple months here. So with that being said, if you guys want any personalized coaching or want access to my free Discord, both of those links are going to be down in the description below. And let's get right into the video here. Okay, so first we're going to start out in the beginning of the month. Here is February 1st. I took my first payout of the month. This was $11,200. This was after the profit split on Take Profit Trader. This was actually right around a $15,000 payout, but after they took 20% of my profits, it ended up being right around $11,200. So this was the first payout that I took right here in the beginning of February, and this was with Take Profit Trader. Now I'm going to move over to Top Step, where I took significantly more money in payouts here, but these are all of my February payouts from Top Step. This is my dashboard right here, as you guys can see. It is a live recording. This is not a screenshot, so these are actual profits, nothing shady going on here at all. So these are my payout amounts. As you can see, each one is $5,000, and as you can see, we have taken 10 of those. So the total payouts requested from Top Step was $50,000, and then you get $4,500 from their profit split as well. So I lost $500 on every single one of these. So the actual amount requested was right around $65,000, but after fees, profit split, whatever you want to call it, it ended up being closer to right around $56,000, $57,000 that actually came to me and hit my bank account. Either way, pretty solid numbers just for 1 month, and this has by far been my best month. So hopefully we're able to carry over some of the success into the upcoming months ahead. So again, these were all the profits I took out from February, $50,000 from Top Step and $15,000 from Take Profit Trader. And now let's get into a little bit of strategy. Okay, so the number one question I always get asked about is, where should I enter in a trade? That's like the one thing that people are hyper fixated on. They're trying to get the absolute perfect entries into their trades. They don't know exactly when to enter. They understand how to identify trends in the market. They understand where price is going with their bias and stuff like that, but they're struggling with the exact entry point and actually executing, pulling the trigger, and actually getting into a trade. So with that being said, I'm going to show you guys what I use and my favorite way to enter into trades and what I actually look for in terms of entering prior to actually getting into the trade. So the main thing I look for and my favorite way of entering into trades is based off of rejection candles. And what a rejection candle is as you can see, like right here, you can see the wick is way bigger than the body is. And right here, it's also a really long wick with a very short candle body. So these are two instances of rejection candles. They're obviously rejecting to the sell side and continuing towards the buy side. So like these two are examples. This is an example of rejection. This is a rejection. This is a rejection. And there's plenty of them in this uptrend that we're seeing here. And this is from the New York session from today. As you can see, it started in a sell-off, but ended up being a pretty big winning day for the New York session. So anyway, the basis of my entries 90% of the time is going to be from these rejection candles. So once I have my high time frame mapped out, I have my daily bias, I have my price target set for NQ and where I expect it to go by a certain point in the day. Once all of that is figured out, I'm going to go to the low time frame. I'm going to wait for the trend to match my high time frame bias. And then from there on the low time frame, I'm going to look for rejection candles in order to get that perfect entry to where a sell-off is immediately denied on the low time frame. I'm going to use that as the basis for my entry. I'm going to set my stop loss at the bottom of the prior low, and I'm going to let that trade run until it hits my price target. So very generally speaking, if everything were to go perfectly, that's exactly how I would execute an entry into my trade. So now what is that actually going to look like in practice? So based on the New York session today, I'm going to show you a couple different setups that you could have taken that would have been really solid entries and would have yielded a ton of profit. Okay, so first I'm going to check the high time frame just to confirm that longs were indeed the correct play to be doing here. So I'm going to check the 1 hour, and as you can see, the 1 hour has been uptrending pretty significantly ever since this bottom that we found right here. So an obvious high time frame uptrend is going to lead into our low time frame bias also needing to be in an uptrend in order to enter in a trade. So in terms of that, we are looking good. We're going to be trading the New York session from today, so that's going to be 9 a.m. So prior to 9 a.m., this was our most recent high that we have. So I'm going to mark out this level here. So I'm just going to use this most recent untouched high prior to the New York session open as our price target for the goal today. So I'm going to zoom back into the 1 minute. And now I'm going to go back to right around the start of the New York session. And as you can see, Once 9:30 happens, we don't have any distinct uptrend starting. We started out with price shooting up, obviously, but there's no trend right there. That's only a couple minutes of going up, and then it enters a pretty significant downtrend. So during this whole time that we're downtrending, we're obviously not going to be looking for entries. The only thing we're going to be looking for is for a shift in market structure or a change in the direction from selling being the trend to buying being the trend. So as you can see here, once this new lower high gets taken out, this signifies to me that we are no longer in a downtrend and we are potentially forming an uptrend. So any point past this high being taken out looks really good for a long, in my opinion. So as you can see, even though this is a good rejection candle, this is a good rejection candle down here as well. Even though these two are good, these are both happening during a current downtrend. So until the trend shifts into an uptrend, I don't want to be looking to enter in trades because it could very easily just be a fake out and then the downtrend ends up continuing. So during this time, we're not going to be taking any longs, and I'm going to have to wait until this rejection candle. This would be an extremely ideal rejection in order to take to our profit goal, which at this point is going to be from right around 25,000-ish to, so this would be approximately an 150 point play here. This is no small feat by any means. And if you even wanted to set a shorter profit goal, if you don't want it to run 150 points, you could set this here at right around 75 to 80 points as your profit goal. Either way, depending on how many contracts you're trading, this is going to be a huge win in this instance. So now I'm going to use my long position tool in order to frame one of these trades right here. So I'm going to be using the top of this rejection candle right here. In terms of my stop loss, I'm going to want to use the bottom of this low right here, because if this low gets taken out, the trend is now going to be shifting in a downward direction. So this is going to be a break in the upward trend if price were to go below this low right here that we created. So that's why I'm going to be placing my stop loss right there, because the whole basis of my trade is going to be the trend, the current trend being an uptrend. So if the current trend begins to be a downtrend, I don't want to be stuck in the trade. That's why I'm not going to put my stop loss at this very bottom right here, because the trend is going to be changed well before this actual low down here gets taken out. So I'm going to set my stop loss right here. It's also going to give us a better risk to reward as well. And then depending on which price target we want to hit, it's going to change our risk to reward ratio, obviously. So if you wanted to set it at this price right here, this is going to be a 1.75 risk to reward, or if we want to set it at the original goal for the highs of the overnight session, this is going to be a 3.5 risk to reward ratio trade. So either way you want to do it, this is going to be a pretty significant trade. Whether it's a 1.75 or a 3.5, these are both good wins. And honestly, any win is a good win in trading. So either way you want to frame it, this is exactly how I would do it. Even though there are plenty of good rejection candles prior to the actual entry that I would have taken in this instance, in my opinion, the best one to take is this one right here, because this is after the trend has shifted from a downtrend. We've confirmed now that we are breaking the downtrend and potentially entering in an uptrend. And if this uptrend were to fail, our stop loss is set tight enough to where it's not going to cost us a ton of money, and our take profit is still significant enough for us to have a pretty good risk to reward ratio as well. So this is exactly how I'd frame the trade. This is the rejection candle that I would base it off of. But one thing that's really important that I want to point out is even if you don't get the entry exactly on this 1 minute rejection candle right here, let's say you were to have noticed this rejection candle later on for whatever reason, either you were away from the screen, or if it just didn't look good, or maybe you noticed it a little bit after the fact, whatever's happening. If you don't get the entry on this exact candle, I would not let that deter you from entering the trade. And that's another thing that I think people make a mistake on, is they're too afraid to be late to a trade. And if they're late to a trade, they just end up not taking it at all. What I do if I notice a good entry a little bit after the fact is I will still hop in the trade. It's not going to change whether or not I get in the trade just because I perceived myself to be late to it. Just because I miss my entry, or whatever the case may be for me being late to noticing a good setup, I'll just enter in. If you would have entered in at any of these 3 candles following this rejection right here, you would still be having a really good trade setup. So don't let being late to a trade justify in your eyes not entering a trade, because There's only going to be a certain amount of setups throughout the day, and if you're 1 or 2 minutes late to a setup, that's going to ruin your entire trading day. In my opinion, that's not worth it, and I would not ever recommend anyone do it like that. If you're a little bit late to a trade, I think you are much better off entering in late to a trade that you have confidence in rather than just sitting on the sidelines watching it. So this is my entire philosophy on executions of actually entering in trades from beginning to end. This is exactly how I would do it for this session here, and this is what I've used to make just under $200,000 in payouts over just the past 4 months alone.